Hi, welcome to our first episode of Evolving Women. We're so glad you're here. I'm Teresa Lisum. This is Erin Capzerra. We're co-hosting this chit chat, this series, this episode, and we want to let you know who we are and then why we're here. So I'm Teresa Lisum, and instead of focusing on our weaknesses and our deficiencies, I advocate for instead focusing on our innate natural abilities and talents. And I have a simple tool that reconnects people to their unique lineup of strengths, their superpowers, if you will, that we've been using those superpowers our whole entire life, and they come really, really easy to us. And I just help maximize those superpowers. So that's me in a nutshell. You'll learn more about me as we move forward, but I'd like to have Erin introduce herself.
I am Erin Capzerra, and what I do is I empower 35 to 55-year-olds regain their healthy living and eating lifestyles.
Thank
And
you,
of course,
Erin.
there's more to that, but you'll learn that as we go along as well.
Just little teasers about us. So our intention for this chat, this series, this episode, and hopefully many more to come, are just to offer our thoughts, our ideas around topics that we want to pick every week and have some interesting conversations around them, and maybe help you have some new perspectives, some new ways of looking at things, some new ways of being or becoming, maybe some lifestyle options that you might not have thought about before. So we're just going to share our wisdom back and forth because we really have good conversations and we want you to be part of our conversation. So anything you want to add to that, Erin?
The thing that came to my mind is kind of think of it as two friends just chit-chatting away, but you all get to eavesdrop on what we're talking about. Give your comments and let us know what you would like to hear us talk about next.
I love that. Thank you, Erin. You're right. We've just had some awesome conversations and we're like, hey, let's bring everybody else in on the party. And as an includer, that's what I like to do.
Love it.
The first thing we do want to just mention before we jump to our topic is that we are titling this Evolving Women, but that was a last minute change. We were going to go with the ripple effect because I truly believe everything we do ourselves personally has a ripple effect out into the world. And we want to be a ripple effect through this, this format. So we would love to hear your thoughts on that, whether evolving women, because we're evolving and we want to help you evolve, or ripple effect. Please let us know in the comments. But for the topic of today, we were just talking right before we went on air here and I hit the record button. We were talking about books. And what kind of books do you prefer? So Erin, you want to start that conversation?
Absolutely. As a book lover with the house full of books. So I know the latest and greatest technology is, iPads or electronic books, or of course I went completely blank of what they're called as I was saying that. But I'm the old fashioned who I like to feel, smell the books, read the books. So if it's not a paperback or a hardback book, and then again, I always have my highlighter and pen nearby, highlight, underline, star, right in the margins. I even developed, post-it notes are wonderful. They even now get slapped on the page because, maybe I'll miss all the other markings. And to me, that's how I like dive into a book. I understand the book, I can comprehend what I'm reading, and then quickly glance at it in the future if I choose to.
Yeah, I love that. And I was sharing that I'm very similar. I dog ear the pages and highlight, and then I buy little sticky book marker things that I stick in between the pages and on the edges so I can always refer back to the important parts, which is basically the whole book sometimes. How about you? Like sometimes every page is dog-eared and bookmarked.
The really good books, what I've actually done is in the little blank pages in the front, I started my own table of contents, like
Oh,
page
good.
this, and that was the information I needed to refer to.
Oh my God, that's an excellent idea. I'm going to have to remember that. But I always have a paperback book because I think it's a multi-sensory thing, like the touch and the feel. And I only like paperback. I really don't like hardback books. I like a paperback that I can like bend and I don't know. It just seems more I feel okay dog earing it and highlighting it. Whereas if I'm using a hardback, I don't feel like I should be doing that. Isn't that kind of weird?
It's funny because what I thought of is my kids, the first time they saw me write in a book, yelled and screamed at me for being a book bully.
Oh,
So I wonder if that's what you're translating it to as a hardback is something nice and fancy and it has to be kept just so
hmm,
crisp and clean, but a paperback that bends and shifts and doesn't stay in its perfect little case, it's
right,
okay to write on.
right. Yeah, maybe that is a thing from school where you had the textbooks which are hardback and you had to respect those books,
Yes.
because they had to pass them on to the next year set of students. So that's a really good point that they are taught not to be a book bully. And there is any type of book, whether it's paperback or hardback. I just feel like we were talking like, I don't want to get rid of them. Like, I don't like to throw a book away. It seems disrespectful of that person's thoughts and what they put in, that energy they put into that book. So I totally dislike throwing away books. But nowadays it's like I don't know where to put them, like what to do with them after I am done with them and I can't have them taking up space anymore. What's your thoughts on that?
That's a hard one. I mean, I love to learn, so I keep them there. And to me, it like having a book nearby is just like knowledge. It's like a little comfort. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can find whatever I need in that book.
Mm-hmm.
I stack mine and I mean they're all over the house. When the
Yes.
last time we moved, we packed up, I think 80% of the house was books.
Yes, I've been through that as well. When I did do my recent move, I did get rid of a lot of books because I only had, I was moving cross country and I didn't want to move a lot. But I was in a small house, so I couldn't have a lot of books everywhere because again of space. So then I decided to go to ebooks and use a device like a Kindle device. I'm not sure what mine is. And this way I can have multiple books on there in my library, but I didn't have to worry about what to do with them afterward. But there is a downside to that. It's definitely not as tactile and as nice to my senses as a paperback book is.
Not an experience.
It's not an experience, right? And I still highlight on a digital book. But when I need to go back and look for something, like it's just kind of problematic to go back. Like I can't just go right to the page. I have to go back and look through every book, every page and look through the highlighted sections. It's more difficult to go back and reference what I highlighted. So that part I don't like. Any
Yeah,
thoughts on? I know you don't use digital books too much, so maybe you don't
no, because to
have the
me, if I have
experience.
something digital, it's like you can multitask with it. You can open windows, you can do this, something else grabs your attention, and all of a
True,
sudden it's not about the book. Where you can
true,
just take a book, a highlighter, a pen, post-its, go sit somewhere, and then nothing else around you matters. And you're not distracted per se by anything else.
true. Well, with the digital book, I'm just reading that particular book. Like I'm not distracted as if I'm looking on a screen with, like I said, multiple tabs and different distractions. So maybe that's what you're referring to. But what's your thoughts about an audio book, like an Audible?
Audiobooks are great, but to me, if I'm not writing, if I'm not doing something, moving something, I don't stay focused. So it goes kind of in one ear and out the other. So it's great if, washing dishes. I love listening to a
Mhm,
podcast
mhm.
probably an audiobook would be perfect. But if I want to retain it and get good information to use in life, I have to write and mark it up and all of that stuff. But if it's just kind of entertaining of let me pick up one thought and I don't care if I get much out of it, then audio's a good choice for me.
Good point. Good point. Because you're right. I do try to remember what I've heard so I can remember it and come back to it. But you're right. It doesn't always happen that way. But I do listen to audiobooks when I'm walking, when I'm on a bike ride or something. And you're right. It's almost like more mindless than if you're reading and you're highlighting. So it's not as multi-sensory as having a hardback or a paperback with a highlighter in your hand. It's just involving one sense. And so maybe that's why neither of us really, that's not our ideal way of getting information.
Very good point.
I'm a multi-sensory person. So like when I'm listening to something, a training or a webinar, whatever, I'm writing things down constantly because that movement, that way of writing is helping me process and retain more.
Now, this thought just came to me, and I don't know if you all will understand what I'm talking about. But for whatever reason, if I hear something, I can take a sheet of paper and I can interpret it and make plans. And it allows me more to think clearly about my goals or plan things and how what they're saying I can utilize, in life or just in general. But if I'm reading it, it's more to learn and then interpret the information later, not just like a free creativity type of flow type of writing that I can do when I hear something and not, just hear it audio, whether it be like a podcast or a audio book.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just so interesting that we have all these mediums that we can use to take information in through whatever sense, whatever your preference is. But it's kind of funny for me, and I don't know if this is the same for you, Erin, but I'll have a paperback book going, I'll have the digital ebook going, and I have an Audible going as well. I mean, not all at the same time, but at different parts in my day or different parts in my week. So I'll hear something on the Audible whatever, this particular, they're all different. They're all different books. And then I'll be reading something, but then when something comes to my mind, like, I don't remember where I got that information from. Which book was it? Was it the audio one? Was it the digital, or was it the paperback or the magazine I have there as well? Because then I have a magazine going.
I'm usually reading more than one book at once as well.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, we are just lifelong learners. Oh my gosh.
And
So
the
we'd love
input
to
is
know.
high as well.
Any more thoughts on that? We'll keep this short for this first episode.
No, just we're curious. Is there a difference with you that you prefer audio, the electronic books, or something to hold?
Yeah, please let us know. And have you ever done the audio and the audio and the digital version? So you could actually buy them in pairs so that you listen to the same book as you're reading, but at different times. But like that helps me go. I've only done that a couple times, but I noticed that was an option on Amazon. So I would buy the book, and then I had the option of buying the audio version, and it synced up. So if I was reading my digital version, blah, 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 and then I started listening to the audio, like it would ask me if I wanted to go to the farthest point that I was on my digital. Does that make sense? So the two were keeping track of each other, and I was able to go through the book a little bit faster because I was reading it on the ebook and listening to it, and it just got me further along. So that's it. That was interesting. I've only done that a few times though.
You just gave me a wonderful idea. You know how you say, let me highlight it, let me do all this to the book and mark the pages because I'm going to read it again. And the second time I go through it, I can just skim it. Well, that second time or third time never happens like you think it would.
Yep.
Maybe what I can do instead now is I read it once. The second time I read the book could be an audio book
Ooh,
because then
that's
I would
good.
remember it, recognize the information. And, if I'm not paying full attention to it, that might be okay.
That's a
So
really
maybe I
good
do need to
idea.
buy the book and the audio for number 2 and 3 reads.
I love that. And I don't know if you could
Yes.
do it on Audible, but I know on webinars and stuff, you could speed up so that they're
Yes.
talking faster. I only do that once in a while. I was just doing that last night. And it really is fun to know that you can keep up with that and still get the information. So I wonder if you could do that on the Audible. But yeah, I love that idea. But you're right. I always want to go back and read the book another time. And I never do because I have another book waiting
Right.
in the queue that I want to get to. So it's just a constant going from one book to another and gathering all that information.
The audio you could do as you were working out, as you were driving in the car, as you were cleaning
Mhm.
house.
Love that. So
I
that's
may have to buy books twice now.
so yes, Amazon thanks us
Yes.
because we just keep giving them more money. Oh my gosh, this has been fun. We so want to hear your thoughts around what type of book and or books that you like to read, in what format, what medium, and maybe why. We'd love you to leave a comment. If you have any thoughts on whether we should go with Evolving Women or The Ripple Effect, we'd love to hear that too.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Erin. Thank you to everyone who took a chance and watched or listened in. We so appreciate you. We're going to do this on a regular basis and we invite you back. So signing off from Teresa.
Erin.
And you guys take care and we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.